everyone. Welcome to the National Museum of African American History and Culture's Learning Together program. My name is Ariel, and I am so excited to learn together with you today. Today, we are going to learn about an artist that uses his imagination, uses his art to show the way he sees our world cities looking in the future. After learning a little about his imagination, we are going to use that to inspire our own imaginations. Our learning today is inspired by an exhibit at the museum called Afrofuturism. You see that? There we go. What does it sound like that word means? Afrofuturism. The Afro, let me make sure I write it down for you. There we go. The Afro part of the word is talking about Africans, African Americans, and people of African descent from all over the world. Futurism sounds like the word future. Excuse me. The future is what we haven't done or haven't even seen yet. Tomorrow is the future. Next year is the future. Thousands and thousands of years away is the future. Afrofuturism is what people of African descent imagine the future can be. And they may show their imagination and their hopes for the future through art, music, stories, movies, and more. Sometimes the future is here on planet Earth, and sometimes that future is in space or a whole new world that doesn't even exist yet. The artist we are talking about today had a vision for what our future buildings can look like on this planet one day in the future. Let's jump in and learn about Bodys Isek Kingelez. There we go. Kingelez was an artist from an African country called the Democratic Republic of the Congo. And he grew up in a small village with a really big family. And ever since he was a child, he wanted to change the world. He wanted to help people and he wanted to make the world a better place. And when he grew up, he found a couple ways that he could do that. He was a teacher. We know that teachers are amazing helpers. I'm sure some of you have teachers with you right now on the other side of the screen. They help our world become a better, more beautiful place by teaching children about new things and helping students like you learn skills that you can use to change the world in your own different and amazing ways. Thank you, teachers. He also worked at a museum to help make sure that his country's history was shared with people. And that's the way I also like to help the world. But one day he discovered that his favorite way to help the world was using his imagination. Now, what is an imagination? It's kind of hard to describe, because it's not something we can always touch or feel or see. Imaginations are pictures and ideas and things that we might see inside of our heads that aren't fully real right now, but they are real to us in our heads and in our hearts. We might use our imagination to create a picture in our mind. We might use our imagination to play pretend with our friends. We may use our imagination to create anything we don't have right now, but want to have one day, like in the future. Our imaginations can create the future. Kingelez wanted to help other people by using his imagination, but how can an imagination help other people if it's inside your own head? Well, Kingelez said that it was really important to him to build an example of what you are imagining inside of you so that other people can see it too. And maybe when they see it, you can work together to make your imagination come true. And that's why he started making his art. What kind of art did Kingelez make? What art do you see with him in these pictures? In one picture, he's sitting outside of his home with his art. In another picture, he's holding it to show to the camera. He made many buildings. Kingelez imagined the small towns and the big cities in his country and from countries all over the world looking a lot differently than they did back then and that they do right now. When he imagined a city where people live in peace, where they all get along and are healthy and are surrounded by beauty, he saw buildings of all different shapes and colors with different kinds of windows and doors and details than anyone else had seen before. Kingelez imagined and created over 300 different buildings. And I want to show you how creative he let his imagination get. Before I show you, can you imagine or picture in your mind a restaurant or a place you get food from? Picture it in your mind. And now that you have that picture, did it look anything like this? In Kingelez's imagination, a restaurant in the future looks like this. What do you notice about this restaurant? Is anything about it the same as the one you pictured in your mind? What's the same and what's different? You can share with us in the chat your ideas, or you can talk to someone who's with you on your side of the screen today. While we wait for some friends to share, I'm gonna take a close look and think about what restaurant I was picturing. And it did not look like this. The restaurant I was picturing is usually like a beige or brown color on the outside. And something I'm noticing about this restaurant is there are a lot of colors all over it. I'm seeing orange and blue and green. Some students are saying it looks a lot different than any of the restaurants they were picturing. I see also some pink and red on this restaurant, and I'm really excited because I love pink, and there's usually not pink restaurants out there. I'm also noticing some different kinds of shapes than I would see with a restaurant. Someone shared that this restaurant is very colorful, and it looks like there's buildings inside of a building, and then also a road and railroad tracks and multiple buildings. So I'd be curious, which part do you eat in? Or are there just places to eat in each of those different parts? Some other friends noticed that there's different colors, and this restaurant seems really big, and there also seems to be some water. I was noticing that as well. Now, one thing that I'm noticing also is all of those different towers. Can you count how many towers there are? It's a little bit hard to tell if some are attached and they're one tower or they're multiple towers, but let's try and count together. I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There might even be more if we were able to turn it around and see the other side, but there's 9 towers on this restaurant. Oh, another student noticed some water flow. I feel like that's probably a really pretty view to look at while you're eating. But wow, what a restaurant. And I couldn't have imagined this just yet. That's not what I would have imagined in my brain of a restaurant, but that's what Kingelez saw. What about this building? Let's take a look at another building. What kind of building could this be? Any ideas? It's like round. It's probably really tall in real life. Ooh, someone guessed a hotel. And you know what? To that class, that is actually correct. So I wonder, your imagination is working a lot like Kingelez's. This was a hotel in Kingelez's imagination. I would not have guessed it, but someone else, they were on the same page as Kingelez. Oh, another class at a hotel too. Oh my goodness. That means our imaginations are really working today. But one of the things I love about imaginations and the future is that they can be different than anything we've seen before. And at the same time, they can still be something that we know or that we really like. Someone's noticing that this building looks a lot like the Ren Center or the Ren Sen building in Detroit. I have not seen that building. I'm going to have to look it up. Now, in his imagination for this hotel, Kingelez saw big blue butterflies surrounding it. And that's what he tried to create here. I think he did a really great job of showing what butterflies would look like if they were all around a building. Behind each of the butterflies would be a balcony where people could stand outside and you could like look at the view from your hotel room. Now, I'm wondering for all of my friends out there who are already using their imagination, if you could decorate a building with an animal or an insect, what would you choose? I already know my idea. Ooh, someone would like to see a building with a fox on it. Now, this could be a fox like what I'm used to, which is like a red or reddish orange kind of fox, but there's also some white foxes, some black foxes. Ooh, someone would like to cover a building with whales or an elephant, lions. Oh, these sound like they'd look so cool. We have some friends would want to use a cat, a snake, a shark, a mouse or mice, bison, wolves, a cheetah. Now, a cheetah, since it has that special pattern all over it, that could be a really cool thing to see around the whole building. And someone was noticing they really can tell that those were butterflies. They'd also, someone said they'd like to see a building that has some chinchillas on it. Ooh, you know what would be so cool is if the building also felt like a chinchilla, like so soft on the outside instead of like bricks or something like that, you know? That'd be a little bit unusual, but that's what our imaginations and the future can be, anything that we think of, right? There could be horses that are going all around, a snake, a shark, bats, and bobcats. So far, I don't think anyone has said an idea I also had, which was I would love to see some birds around. And maybe they could be hanging and kind of they could move with the wind around the building. Or what if there was some fish? Someone did say whales, but there could be whales and fish all around. A dragon, an octopus. Oh my goodness, these are all really cool ideas. Thanks for sharing, everyone. Let's take a look at one more building. One more building for now. This building is in the collection at the National Museum of African Art. And I was thinking that since Kingelez imagined that this would be a real building one day in the future, we should look at it like it's a real building and use our close looking skills to figure out how an architect or an engineer or a construction worker put this building together. You think you could try that with me? We can try that. All right. So now I have a tool for us to use. It's from our friends at the National Building Museum, and it's something that you can use in your actual neighborhoods too. So later you might take a walk around and look at some of the buildings in your neighborhood or around your school. We are sharing it with you in the chat now, but I'm going to guide us through just two parts of it. The tool is like a checklist that shows you all the different kinds of things you want to think about when you are looking at the buildings around you in your neighborhood, or for us today in Kingelez's imaginary world. So let's get started. Oh, let's see. 1 second. Let's go back one slide there. Is there we go. All right. So one of the things we want to think about when we're looking at a building is, what is it made out of? Now, what are some of the things that you think that Kingelez might have used to make his art? Since these were small buildings and not big buildings, he didn't need to use things like wood or bricks or concrete. So someone said that he probably used some cardboard. That's true. He used some cardboard. He used regular paper that he had at his house, pieces of plastic, and that's true as well. He used plastic that was from recycled materials, like things like that might have some food in it at some point, but you take the food out and use it to make a building instead. Even though Kingelez made these really extraordinary pieces, he used really ordinary materials. His mini buildings were made with regular things like paper and scissors and glue and recycled materials and foil and bottles and boxes, things like that. Someone mentioned he could have used wooden blocks. So yeah, he might have like stacked some blocks on top of each other to make his buildings. When we zoom in at the very top of this building, what do we see? What did he use to make this part of the building? I see some lines and I see some dots. And those dots are looking like 3D to me, not just markers or paint painted on, but 3D, something that is lifted off of the building. Now, we got a little bit of a sneak peek, but what do you think those dots could be made out of? What material did he use to build that part of the building? Someone said it looks like pearls. Now that is a really great idea. They look kind of round and shiny. Someone guessed that it could be push pins. Let's find out. They were pins. Someone guessed beads, which is another really great suggestion, and marbles. Beads and marbles. They're thinking of things that are round and small that you could glue on or add on to the building. Now, have you seen these kinds of pins before? They're usually used to hold fabric together when people are sewing. And sometimes people use these to put things on a bulletin board, like pieces of paper on a bulletin board. Sometimes people use these kinds of pins to mark a map and show different locations on the map. I think it's really creative of Kingelez to use something like this for his buildings. And some people even thought of some other materials he could use, like rubber bands, Play-Doh, green cotton, real blocks, toothpicks. These are all really great ideas. Let's look at one more part of this building. Another thing we want to look at when we are investigating a building are the shapes that are used, especially the different shapes of doors and windows on a building. So if you look closely at this part of the building, what shapes do you see? Someone sees a square. And let's see, I also see a square. It's like a tiny yellow window maybe that has it's one square and then it has 4 little squares inside of it. Someone's noticing that there are rectangles, and I think this whole building has a lot of rectangles in it. Circles. And there's a couple different circles here. There's a circle that is like, well, more like an oval at the top of that picture. And I can't really tell fully what it says, but I know it does say Kingelez. So it says his name on the building. And then I see those white circles that are all in a row. I wonder what those are. Someone's noticing a star. Is anyone noticing the diamonds? There's like the white diamond design. And then I see someone mentioned the trapezoid, which is that green shape on our screen. And I see those big, like maybe they're windows or doors, but you got that right. Those are trapezoid shapes there. So we have learned a lot from our investigation so far, that Kingelez used regular materials in creative ways, and that a lot of different shapes can be used in one building. And I think knowing those things are going to help us a lot as we make our own futuristic buildings today. It is officially our art time, so let's make sure we have all of the supplies we're going to need today. Okay, so today we are going to be making our own futuristic buildings, kind of like I made my own, and like that one that the restaurant that Kingelez made. And in order to make our own building, you are going to need some recycled materials. Now, some friends may have brought some plain recycled materials. I have an egg carton, a big piece of cardboard, some foily bubble wrap stuff, and I have a big piece of cardboard. Some friends may have had some time earlier to paint some pieces. If you didn't yet, that's not a problem. You'll always be able to do that later. But can anyone tell what this recycled material was? This was a oatmeal container that I painted, an egg carton, and some toilet paper rolls that I made blue and purple. So, do I have anything else? Nope, that's all my recycled materials. Okay, what else do we need? We need some paper. I have some paper shapes, and I had some pieces of paper somewhere. I don't know where they went. But we have some paper shapes. We have some glue. I have some markers here. I have some crayons. There you go. And I have some scissors. And I think that is all we're going to need to get started. Now, today we are going to make just one building, or just get started on one building. But after this, you could make something even bigger. You can add more details. You could add more buildings and make a whole city. That's something that Kingelez did. But today we're going to focus just on making one. Now, the big question right now is, what are we going to make? What are you going to make? It can be any kind of building. It could be like we looked at, a hotel or a restaurant, but I want us to use our imaginations just for a moment to decide what we are going to make. So if you'd like, you can close your eyes with me. Sometimes I feel like it's easier to focus on what's inside of your brain when your eyes are closed, so you're not seeing all the other things you could be thinking about. And I want you to picture a building from your life. It could be your house. It could be your school. It could be a restaurant. It could be a gas station, any place. And think about, what does it look like right now? What color is it right now? Is it really tall? Is it really small? And then I want you to think about, how would you change it? How would you like to change it? Is there a new color you'd like to add? Is there a different shape that you want to make it into? What can you do different? Now you can keep letting your brain work on that image, that picture in your mind. But for now, you can open your eyes and you can take that idea, and we're going to try and use that idea right now to make our artwork. So I'm going to start with thinking about which piece I want to start with that might be my main big piece. And then I'm going to think about how later I'm going to add on some things onto my building. So I'm not going to glue it all together. I want to decorate my big piece first and then add on things. So once you pick your big piece, I picked my oatmeal container. I'm going to think about, what do I want to add on top of it? What kinds of things do we know buildings need? Like windows and doors. It needs paths to get to it, right? Let me make sure. I'm going to put this on top of this big piece of cardboard. So I work on top of this. There we go. Okay. Okay. I think what I'm going to do first is add some windows. Now you may need to cut these shapes if you don't have any yet, or you might already have some, but there's some square. I think I would like my windows to be squares and maybe some diamonds. So I did cut some little squares, but I could also draw on some. So I'm actually going to draw and then maybe glue on some too. So let's see. I'm just going to, you see that one? There we go. Now these are some big windows. Oh wait, I didn't even tell you what I'm going to be making. My building is actually going to be a hair shop. It's going to be like where I can go get my my locks done. Okay. So I would love, when I'm waiting and getting my hair done, if I had some big windows I could look out of and look at all the birds flying by and the sun and the clouds while I'm waiting, while I'm getting my hair done and getting my hair washed. What kinds of buildings are you all making out there? You gotta let me know what our I guess virtual city we're building together is. Now I am using wet glue because that usually helps stick on a little better than glue sticks. But as you can see, it does take a little bit of extra squeezing. But if you're using wet glue, especially for adding on the paper, I like to say in my brain, dot, dot, not a lot. Don't need that much to help it stick, actually. So you don't want to do too much glue. Does anyone know that book, Too Much Glue? That's one of my favorite ones. When you're using glue and it gets a little out of control. Okay. So now I'm adding some shapes to all of my windows. I used a green window. I'm using an orange, making an orange window. Oh, that would be cool if the glass was different colors. So when I look outside, it's not just regular color. It's just, it might have a little tint of blue. Someone out there is making a condo building. I wonder how many condos is in the one build. Oh, wait, I got there. There we go. In one building. And you have to, and then you think about what kinds of things do people need at a condo building? Okay. I have some windows on my building. What else do I need? One thing that people do need is a way to get inside of my building. So I'm going to create some doors. And since this is a pretty tall building, there's probably going to need to be some stairs inside of here. So maybe I could make some stairs. If I use my imagination, of course, there's going to be some stairs in there, but my imagination also wants to say there could be like a slide. How fun would that be? That when I'm done getting my hair done, I could just go down the slide and out and go home. That'd be kind of fun. Okay, so I'm going to try and make that. We'll see. We'll see how it turns out. Okay, so for some stairs, my idea is I'm going to take a strip of paper and I'm going to bend it like this. Let's see if you can see that little zigzag kind of shape. And that kind of looks like stairs to me. Like that. Yeah, I think that's gonna work well. Okay. And I just have to, I guess, glue it to the side here. Can you see that well? Let's see, someone just told me a new kind of building they're making. It is a building with a restaurant and people sleep there and they have school supplies there. I mean, that's everything that I need. I need to be able to eat. I need to be able to sleep, to have some supplies so I could do some work and do some art. So I like that idea. Very strong imagination there. Okay. Oh my gosh, this is turning out really great. I'm really oopsies. I'm really happy with, look at that staircase. Whoa, that's really cool. Okay, well now I need some doors. I think that to be a little bit creative, I'm going to use a triangle as my door of a normal rectangle kind of door. And let's see. Oh, let me try and put it right in the middle. Put it right in the middle. There we go. Okay. Oh, I forgot. I said I wanted to do a slide. So maybe, oh, you know what, friends? What if, okay, the people can walk up the stairs on this side of my building. And then on this side of the building, they can go down a slide. Let me try that. So one way that you can sometimes curl a piece of paper is if you kind of like pull it and turn it. And then if I glue that to the side here, that looks like a pretty fun slide, huh? Now, what colors are you all using? I'm imagining that with all of the inspiration we got from Kingelez, that people might be making some pretty colorful buildings on your side of the screen. I've used like 5 different colors so far. Okay. Any other things that we should add to our building? Any other details? I guess I could add some decorations. Oh, so someone is building a rock tower of pizza. That sounds amazing. That sounds pretty good. I'm wondering, in the tower, how many floors are in the tower? And then on each floor, is it all just pizza, just like different kinds of pizza? Can you do different things on different floors of the tower? Different kinds of pizza available on different towers? I mean, your imagination can just keep going and going. Okay, I decided to add hearts because I love my hair, and and other people who might come to get their hair done, you want them to love their hair too. So maybe if they have hearts on their way walking in, they're going to feel really, really happy and proud of how their hair is. Okay. Let's see. Oh my goodness. Someone is making a zoo. I think that is an amazing idea. How fun. Oh my goodness. I love the zoo. I'm so curious what you are imagining over there it looking like. Now, of course, on the other side of my building, it doesn't have anything yet. So I might add some circle windows on the back. So I might add that really quick. Okay. Now, the thing, friends, that I really like about making art and ultimately using our imaginations is that it can really be anything that you want. You just have to be brave enough to think of it, to think different. Sometimes the future can kind of make you feel a little bit nervous sometimes because you don't know what is going to happen. You don't know where you're going to go or what you're going to do, but our imaginations kind of give us some power over that. Our imaginations help us to decide what the future can be. And it can be a lot of things. And you get to have some say in what it's going to be. All right, that's what my building is looking like so far. It has a lot going on, but that's a very Kingelez style of doing building. So I'm feeling really good about it. Now, before we're coming to the end of our program, so I want to make sure I do some of our last steps in our video with you today. But remember, you can always keep working on things. Someone right now is also, they told me all the colors they're using, and I'm using some of the same colors. They're using red, blue, yellow, and green. Great combination of colors. Now, I'm going to glue this on top of here, and then I want to glue this on top of here, and this on top of here, like that. So that's something that I think is a good step to do, like kind of last, is deciding how to arrange it, just because then you can like really work on each piece more easily. You can pick it up, because once you attach it, it's can get a little bit stuck, and you want to make sure you can move it around if you need to. Okay, let me try and, okay, this glue is, I'm using, might be coming down to its last bits, but I'm putting some glue in one spot and another spot. There we go. I really was inspired by Kingelez. He had a lot of towers. Okay, hopefully mine's gonna stay. He had a lot of towers in his buildings, and so I wanted to make mine. Someone mentioned earlier that they were thinking of the Leaning Tower of Pisa. I feel like mine's about to start looking like that too, because until this glue dries, it's a little more prone to leaning. Okay, one more thing I wanted to add. Look at this. I have this like foil kind of paper, and I was thinking if I cut it up, I could add a little bit of some decorations at the top of my tower. So what I'm doing is cutting it with these little pieces like that. Like this, so they're all little pieces. And then I'm gonna stuff them inside of my tower. How do you think that looks? I think that looks pretty creative right there. Oh no, see, there's the Leaning Tower of Pisa style. All right. So friends, this has been really, really fun creating with you all today. I'm sure that you all are doing a lot on your side of the screen, and I just am so excited that we got to try out Kingelez's style and that you got a chance to use your imagination. We are ending our time together right now, but you can always continue working on your building that you made today, or keep making new ones and create a whole city. Just try and see how far your imagination can go. If you'd like to show what your future looks like, share a picture with us on social media using the hashtag #NamatKids, tagging the National Museum of African American History and Culture, or just send me an email. I'd love to see it. You can check out all of that information in the chat. Grown-ups, you can help us create our future programs by sharing your feedback about today's program with our survey that is also linked in the chat. Friends, as we reach the end of our program, I hope you know that you are such a special and important part of our world's future. And every time you share your imagination and thoughts and feelings, you are sharing a gift with everyone around you. Thank you so much for learning, creating, and sharing your imagination with me. I hope you'll join me again soon. See you next time.